Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm joined by an old friend, Tim, who's been coming here with me since I've started. At Chesapeake Hearing, Tim's been offering great services to the community. Welcome back, Tim.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. You've been doing the Senior Summit for a long time now.
Yeah, ever since it started.
Yeah, 20 years.
Yeah, this will be 20 years, yeah.
It's a big celebration.
It is. And it's the reason we do it every year is it's a wonderful event.
Yeah.
It's good to see our friends come out. Our friends are vendors. Our friends are the people coming in and looking at all the information. Yeah. And it's always a gorgeous day.
Right.
And the new facility, the way they've redone, last year was just spot on.
Yeah.
We're all in one space. And that was fantastic. I heard from pretty much every attendee how much they really liked the fact that they could do a big loop and see everything without leaving a building, and they didn't miss anything.
Right. Now, will you be there in person this year?
This year, actually, I have a conflict. This will be maybe second or third of 20 that I've not attended.
Right.
But I do have my staff coming out.
Right.
We'll have a doctor of audiology there, along with help, and we'll be giving out our famous purple shopping bags that everyone. I run out of those every year. I hope I have enough.
All the stuff there.
They
need your bag.
Oh, it's trick or treating. It's great, and there's valuable information, and you can't absorb it all in that afternoon. So you need to be able to take things home from all the vendors and be able to go through and digest the information.
Man, but you're going to miss the Roaring 20s party.
Yeah, the Roaring 20s. It's an interesting term. In our industry, roaring typically is tied to what's called tinnitus or tinnitus. It's a roaring or ringing in your ears. And before I came out here, I was doing some research on it because I knew the numbers were very similar. Around, I want to say, it's anywhere from 10 to 15% of Americans, adults, suffer from some form of tinnitus. And tinnitus can be caused by a variety of things. It can be medication. Yeah. People who take a lot of aspirin, they can develop a ringing in their ears. The obvious one is sound exposure. Fireworks display, rock concert, your ears ring. That's more temporary. Okay. But 10 to 15% have a ringing in their ears constantly.
That is a very high number.
It is. Out of 340 million, I think, is the total population. That's about 50 million people.
Wow, that's great. My wife has it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I suffer from it too, but it doesn't get in the way of doing other things. But for some people, it is debilitating. There's about 2 million people that they cannot function normally. It is so bad.
That's wild. So someone can come to your table at Senior Summit or
talk
to you about
we
this
can talk about that. And one of the things is tinnitus can be also a sign of hearing loss.
Okay. Because
when we hear what we call ambient sounds, and that's just the sounds that are all around us,
right,
it overrides the tinnitus. A lot of times people, they really notice tinnitus when they lay their head down on the pillow at night and there's no noise. Well, in a normal environment, you've got a lot of sound. And that sound just kind of overwashes it so that you don't notice it as much because you're paying attention to other sounds. And we've had pretty good success with hearing aids, helping people hear the other sounds, and now the tinnitus isn't as strong. It never goes away, but now you're hearing the other sounds better.
Right, that's fact. I never would have thought of that as a solution, but it makes sense.
Yes, it does. It does. And you can get software. There is software available that you can do what's called masking, where you basically come up with a white noise to kind of drown it out. And it's very subtle, but some people benefit from it. Tinnitus is a very inexact science. There's a lot of research going on it, and no one has a silver bullet. Yeah. But you can go online and find all kinds of cures, and maybe it'll work for you, but there's nothing that's been FDA approved or anything like that. But hearing loss, people with hearing loss, so we talked earlier, it's 10 to 15%. Well, 20% of people report hearing loss. So it makes me wonder, okay, so 20%, or not 20%, let me get my math right here. Sure. No, it is. It's 20% report some form of hearing loss, whether it's 1 or 2 ears.
Okay. Is this any age? Or?
And adults in the United States. So, it made me think, okay, of that 10 to 15% of people that are saying that they have, are they in that realm and can they be helped?
Yeah.
Because as I said, that's a big portion of how we can help people is
Right.
with hearing aids.
Yeah. And there's probably a lot of people who don't even understand what's happening, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. There's been a lot of research. We're very fortunate where we live. Maryland, I hear a lot, you got to move out of Maryland, but we've got the best health care in the world.
Okay.
I mean, you've got University of Maryland, you've got Johns Hopkins, you've got all kinds of great medical institutions that do incredible research in our area. There's a doctor in Johns Hopkins, Frank Lynn, who has done extensive research into the treatment of hearing and the good and bads of hearing and hearing loss. And mostly what he's looked at is the effects on people for untreated hearing loss and how it can affect them. One big symptom is loneliness. If you can't hear, you're not part of what's going on. You can be lonely in a crowd. You can be at church with everyone there and be lonely because you can't hear what they're saying.
Right.
You don't understand what the priest is saying or what the person next to you is whispering. So you can be lonely. Well, as I said earlier, 20% people report hearing loss. 20% also report loneliness. And loneliness has been something that has recently been moved into a medical diagnosis because of the stresses and the negative effects on people.
Yeah.
So once again, I'm looking at tinnitus, I'm looking at hearing loss, I'm looking at loneliness. Hearing aids can help a lot. They're not, once again, no silver bullet, but I will say they do come in silver. And I've got this one here that's silver, and I will say I started wearing hearing aids this past January.
Right.
And I've noticed, especially taking the one off, that I do notice a pretty big sensation when it's not on. I mean, when I take them off at the end of the day, I'm like, ooh, it's quiet.
Yeah. And they're barely noticeable.
Right.
Which has probably changed over time.
It has changed over time. The style that I wear is called a RIC. It's a receiver in the canal. It's a top of the line hearing aid. What else would I wear? But these are wonderful. They connect to my phone. It's really good, and I'm hoping it doesn't happen while I'm here. But if I get a phone call, it'll ring in my ear, and you won't know it.
Wow.
So a lot of times people think I'm a little crazy because I'm talking, but I'm actually on the phone. But there's other things that it can help maintain or monitor your activity level. And for older adults that have caregivers that need to monitor their what they're up to, you can monitor what they're up to. They give you permission, kind of like a location service. You can share the data. So someone who's living an hour or 2 hours or 8 hours away can see what mom or pa are up to. Oh, they haven't been moving today. They've been sitting in the chair reading all day. I need to call them and see what's up.
Wow,
Are they feeling okay? They also have a fall alert.
Okay.
So if you fall and, it'll actually ask you, it'll come on and go, are you okay?
Wow.
And if you do not reply, it'll dial 911.
Okay.
It's GPS. It knows exactly where you are. So when it dials 911, it gives exactly where you are.
We've come a long way.
We have. It does, before it dials 911, it will contact a loved one or a caregiver.
Okay.
So that we're not dispatching, ambulances when you drop a hearing aid or something.
Right.
But it does give you the ability to respond. And yes, we've come a long way. These tiny little things, they can be very powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. And hearing is very important. I'm guessing it's just like everything else. You want to catch it as soon as you can?
Yes, you can. And yes, you do. You really do, because the adverse effects are terrible, but mostly you don't want to disconnect.
Yeah.
You don't want to miss out on, today's a beautiful spring day.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if anyone watched the Masters that was on. It's funny, when it got real quiet, all you could hear were the birds. Now, some people say they pipe those bird sounds in, but I will say I love hearing the birds in the spring.
Yeah.
Nothing's more depressing in the middle of the winter when the birds aren't singing.
Right.
And this time of year, the birds are out. I have my grandson coming over for Easter weekend. Do I want to not hear what he says?
Absolutely.
Can't understand everything he says, but I want.
That's a different problem.
Right, but I want to hear that. I want to hear what my loved ones and what prompted me to wear hearing aids. And I have a mild loss, but was Christmas time, the holidays.
Mm-hmm.
I found that, in noisy situations, I was just missing enough that I was like, wow. So. Yes, you want to catch it early. There are studies out there right now that say after the age of 50, you should check your eyes, check your teeth, check your hearing. Mm-hmm. That should be one of your regular annual checks, is get your hearing checked. Once you have a baseline, you can move forward with that, no different than cholesterol levels, blood pressure levels, all that. We want to know our baselines and everything. When things change drastically on your body, there's a reason.
Right.
And rarely is it good.
Yes.
So we want to know so you can narrow it down, because the time to start trying to figure it out isn't when things go wrong, it's ahead of time. Right. Changes in hearing can be linked to a lot of good and bad things. A lot of times it's just buildup of earwax.
Sure.
But that's an easy cure. But what if it's something else? Yeah. Let's get it checked, and then the doctors have a baseline right there. And it's an easy thing. Yeah. Painless. Yeah. We don't draw blood. You don't have to know any answers. You don't have to fast beforehand. All you got to do is walk in, sign a insurance waiver, and sit down and get your hearing tested.
Perfect. Well, Tim, I know you're going to be at the Senior Summit. You're going to have or your staff will be at the Senior
Summit. Yes, they will be there.
And they're going to have a great day talking with the seniors, answering any questions. But if someone's watching right now, maybe they can't be at the Senior Summit, but they want to be a part of the conversation again and hear what's going on, how can they reach out to you, or what should they do?
Well, the easiest thing to do is to go to our website. It's helpyourhearing.com. Real easy to remember, helpyourhearing.com. We actually have a little chat bot that'll come up. It's a real person, really. Mm-hmm. And they'll ask why, can we help you?
Right.
And you can reach out to us through that. We also have contact forms. You can request an appointment. We check and call every single request that we get, and we do it within 24 hours. Typically, we try to do it within, if you send something to me now, I'm hoping we're calling you in the next 30 minutes. Awesome. So we react very quickly to it. But we also have a lot of really good information on that website, and research. You can go a lot of different ways there, and we're trying to educate. Our biggest reason that we show up at these events is to educate people. Right. But yes, helpyourhearing.com is a very good website. So that would be your best method.
There you go. Well, Chesapeake Hearing's been doing this for 20 years with the Senior Summit.
Yes.
They're lucky to have you. It's great to have you a part of the community. And Tim, it's always great to chat with you.
Hey, good to see you again. Thank you.